Imagine getting up every day full of energy as if you were in your 20s again. What would that be like? What would it be worth to you? What is your health worth to you? Think about it. Your health isn't everything, but without it, everything else is nothing. And yet, too many of us are taking it for granted until something goes wrong. And no one wakes up hoping to be diagnosed with a disease or chronic illness. And yet, we've never been taught how to be proactive in our health through our school or public health. As a registered health coach and integrative health practitioner, I believe it's time this information is made available to everyone. Combining new knowledge around your health and the ability to do my functional medicine lab tests in the comfort of your own home will allow you to optimize your health for today and all your tomorrows. Don't wait for your wake-up call. Welcome back. It's Melissa Deely here, the host of the Don't Wait for Your Wake-Up Call podcast, and I'm excited to bring you another wonderful guest today. Today, I'm introducing you to Deb King of the Wisdom Playground. Welcome, Deb.
Thank you, Melissa. So excited to be here.
So as you can probably hear her lovely Australian accent, it's very early in her morning as we're recording this episode. So extra special thanks for being here. And Deb is the co-founder of the Wisdom Playground, a new era business incubator that supports coaches and healers to create greater ease, profit, and impact. Deb describes herself as a happiness ambassador. How amazing is that? And enthusiastic human with a passion for music, travel, life, people, and all things uplifting. Her unconventional career includes being a bouncer, nightclub manager in London, through to other leadership, sales, and marketing roles. And across the past 20 years, she's coached, mentored, and trained thousands of people globally as a transformational master coach, as I said, from Australia. So no wonder Deb has become a wonderful friend of mine over the last couple of years since we met online. And given that this month is the theme of play, I thought that Deb and the Wisdom Playground would be a fabulous episode for everyone to be further inspired to bringing more play into our lives. So welcome, Deb.
Thank you. And how great, yes, to encourage everyone to bring more play into our lives. Can't have enough.
Exactly. And even working on this theme myself, it's really made me realize, where did that little 6 or 7-year-old girl go, right? And we have these societal norms or expectations of adults. And, what if we just let our inner child out to play and didn't care about what other people thought, and that we could have so much joy in the moment instead of feeling like we can't show that wonderful emotion? And I love the idea of just walking past a schoolyard and you hear the laughter, so much laughter, right? So I want to encourage people to get back to that.
Exactly. In general, it's kids that are having the most fun.
Exactly.
What's us to bring our more laughter, more play. In the Wisdom Playground, we call it unadulting.
I love it. There you go. I love it. So I would love for you to share your story because, as you said, you've got a little bit of an eclectic background that's brought you into being this human enthusiast and happiness ambassador. So please share.
So I grew up in Sydney, and I feel like I always was on a happiness inquiry. I wanted life to be fun, and I was a big party animal as a late teen, like 17 to 30 actually was a major party animal. And I really, really did give that a good crack. As you said, I lived in London, I worked in nightclubs and music industry, and I really had some big time partying, and eventually realized that I wasn't fully fulfilled, and that's when I started to look within. And in 2003, I came back to Sydney to become a life coach. And then I've been on this huge personal development, spiritual development, entrepreneurial development journey ever since. And what I had realized is prior to this journey, I had been seeking externally for happiness, and that's not where you find it. And so it has been a really interesting journey, because I also was very judgmental of myself. I was very much critical to myself, very mean to myself, and thankfully have learned not to do that. But also,
I just want to stop you there, because how many people relate to that right now?
Oh,
Because that's kind of the way we naturally tend to go, is to beat ourselves up for every little thing and be super judgmental and super critical of ourselves, and not giving ourselves any grace or any space, or stopping to celebrate the baby steps. And yet we don't do that to others, right? We're celebrating others and we don't allow ourselves to celebrate ourselves.
yeah, two really key things there. One is we judge ourselves, time to stop it. And the other thing is to celebrate more, because we can celebrate all day, every day, and appreciate and celebrate. And when we focus on that, we get more of that. So
Yes.
those two things are actually super key pieces to having a better life and a healthier life.
It's something that I'm learning this year. Actually, at the end of last year, I was on an event. I don't even remember what it was. And somebody said to have a win wall. So I've created a win wall for 2022, and I have it over here, and I see it every day. And, that's kind of where I celebrate my little wins. Doesn't matter how small they are, but they're my wins, right? I achieved something, et cetera, and it goes on my wall. And so I thought that was a brilliant idea, and a way to bring that more to the forefront for me, right? So even as you and I talk about this, I hear you saying it's a journey. It's been almost 20 years for you, right? And so for other people listening, we're all still working on this.
It's not a destination. It's an ongoing practice to keep noticing how we're feeling, what we're saying to ourselves, and keep choosing. Because if we can fall into old habits of being mean to ourselves or judging ourselves, well, I'm going to assume it's old habits for everyone from now, okay?
Yes.
But yeah, to actually notice that, because we can then choose differently. We can choose to focus on what we actually want rather than what we don't want. We can actually choose to what we could celebrate or appreciate rather than what we want to complain or whinge about,
Yeah.
And it makes an incredible difference of where we're focusing. That's
Absolutely. And to your point too, sometimes people don't know what they want, because but they do know what they don't want. But because they're spending so much time focusing on what they don't want, they haven't ever looked at it from the other side of what they do want.
It is worth considering, if you are looking, you don't know what you want, but you know what you don't want, to actually go, well, imagine you don't, that's not happening anymore. What would you love to have happening? And even if you don't get the answer straight away, just be in the inquiry of allowing the messages to come to guide you to that. And you'll notice how you feel when it's expansive and light versus contracted and heavy. Start to notice in your body, because our body is guiding us. And I think that, make the joke that everything that happened BC before COVID needs a refresh.
Yeah.
Trying to make that stick, Melissa. But we're in a new era.
We are, and I agree with you.
Anything that is BC, we were very much about thinking and being in our head and doing, and there's some value in that, but it's actually even more valuable when we bring our whole self to the party. Like our energy, our body, our everything is guiding us, not just our head. Our head can be very limited. When we can really tune into our heart and the infinite wisdom and potential that we have access to, magic can happen, and very quickly. And so it's starting to get to know how to tune into that more is so powerful.
And sometimes it's the heart, and sometimes it's also the unconscious mind, right? We get stuck in the conscious mind, but when we get out of the conscious mind and into our unconscious mind, we can also allow ourselves to be guided. And as you say, it's very powerful. And that's where the quantum leaps forward can happen.
Yeah. I just talk about it from the heart, because I think it's an easy way to access that unconscious.
Right.
using the breath,
Right.
even
Yes.
breathing, just focusing on breathing, imagining you're breathing in through your heart and out through your heart, and very quickly you're present, you're in your heart, you're out of this small conscious mind, limited, to accessing the infinite possibilities and solutions that are available in every moment. It's so cool. We have so much more potential than we've been accessing.
100%.
And it's very exciting to actually start to give ourselves permission to play with that and explore that.
I love that. I love that. And a couple of episodes ago, I had somebody on who was talking about this as well. It was Lisa Brewer, and she was talking about, being in the flow, right? And then she actually, her mantra, if I don't screw it up, is give permission to your purpose to provide for your purpose.
Nice.
Which I really liked as well. And when we do get into that place of flow and we're in our heart and all of these resources are available to us, as you said, we can do so much more and with greater ease.
Yes.
And with more fun.
That's the thing. That's actually what's available to us. If it's not ease, if it is struggle, then it's possibly a sign that's not the path at that moment. It's like we're actually being guided all the time. It's noticing and being aware and allowing the like you say, the flow, really. The ease, the joy.
Exactly. And that's also something I'm working on, because I'm very much someone who was raised and spent, all of my corporate years in my head. It was kind of the expectation. It was just the norm, and not to mention the norm of, well, we pay you for 40 hours a week because you're on a salary, but we actually expect you to get all of the work done that we're giving you. And if it takes 60 hours, then you got to do it. You got to stay and work for 60 hours, right? And that whole societal mindset that you're supposed to work harder to show your dedication, et cetera, as opposed to that it's actually meant to be easy. So like, I'm having to undo all of that learning as well. Maybe that's part of my unadultering. Unadulting. Not adultering. Unadulting.
Yes, well, I think that's most of us have been conditioned for that, to work hard, to be in the struggle, to always be in our head. That it's actually we haven't actually. It's not been okay to feel your feelings. It's not been okay to be vulnerable. It's starting to be. There's a growing consciousness of that, which is fantastic. Because emotions are important. It's energy and motion. We are energy. And so actually not needing to judge emotions, and we don't need to suffer in them and bathe in them, but to actually allow ourselves to feel and express is a very healthy thing. Because if we don't, as you know, if we don't allow those feelings to be expressed, then they're going to store in the body and come out in some level of dis-ease at some point.
Absolutely. It's interesting because I'm running a detox program right now with some people, and it's amazing how quickly some people start to release the emotions in a detox program, right? That's not why they started doing it. It's not what they were expecting, but it's what's coming up, which is wonderful, right? Because they're in a place where they're now allowing those emotions to start to release. Well,
that's the pathway to them being in full health, right?
Exactly.
Because they haven't expressed them, that they're having whatever challenge they're having. Yeah. So it makes total sense to hear that. Yeah.
So it's been 10 years of a journey for you. Can you share some highlights, some aha moments or pivotal moments as you have been on this path to creating the Wisdom Playground? Because I know the Wisdom Playground is a BC business, right? Sorry, it's a pandemic baby. Yes. So that's relatively new. So what were the pivotal moments that got you to where you're at today?
Yeah. So the last 20 years I've been in the coaching industry, and absolutely, back then when I started, lots of people hadn't even heard of what that was. It's so great that there's been such a growing evolution of awareness of lots of people kind of actually learning to become more self-aware and interested in their own growth and and things like that. So I have been doing many great things through that time in coaching and training. And
I'm going to jump in there too, as well, just to say that there's a greater awareness in people that they do better when they work with someone else who's already been there, right? Mm-hmm. And there's not any shame in that. It's actually, courage to go, hey, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to go. Who can get me there the fastest? So again, it's looking for that ease, right? And recognizing that everyone needs coaches. We have coaches from community sports as a child or school sports, right? And we've had business coaches for years and all these different types of coaches. And now people are recognizing it's okay to have a coach in my life and it's actually going to advance me faster, which I love.
Great thing to have multiple coaches in the area that you want to focus on. Absolutely. And we're, as humans, we're not meant to do it alone. We have been conditioned to be very independent and compete, but actually we're here to collaborate and bring the best of each other out. And I suppose that's what happened with the Wisdom Playground is when the world changed, my beautiful business partner Gabby and I were talking and we wanted to focus on reinvention and consciously creating new and better ways rather than just go back to the old. And rather than what happens if we don't consciously create something new, we will just repeat what we know. And so here is an opportunity. Anything is possible. The fact that what happened in 2020, if you ask yourself, would you have thought that was possible before it happened? I would say most of us would say absolutely not. I totally would not have thought that could have been possible. What has happened in the world?
I would agree. I would agree.
Yeah, that shows anything is possible. So we can actually create the dream. We can actually create the most amazing world where everyone is supported and thriving. That is actually possible. And it takes a conscious creation and it takes us all tapping into the best of our humanity. It takes us tapping into collaborating together. So I like that you say, we all benefit from coaches and support and doing things together rather. Some things it's good to, it's also, you need some stuff alone. However, there's too much independence and competition in the BC world that keeps us separate, divided and conquered. It's time to unite, collaborate and actually co-create. And so the pivotal moments have been, I've always been unconventional. So I've always wanted things to be done in different ways. So I haven't really followed the path of the mainstream or the way they say you should do it, whoever they are. But yeah, so I was always unconventional. Then this happened in 2020. I had very different plans. I was on my way to wanting to spend a lot more time in Hawaii, and anyway, this has happened, and what happened with the Wisdom Playground has been quite magical because it unfolded through us. It's not like Gabby and I said, let's create a business together. It was just through conversation and ideas that when we were playing with, I started with a Zingles party on Zoom called Zingles.
I think I attended one of them.
Yeah. I don't think you attended that one, but you did attend one of our collaborative learning parties, okay, which has then, led into us having a beautiful new era business incubator membership with amazing coaches, healers, and new era wisdom teachers that are doing incredible things on the planet. And we're always explore, it's a really healthy environment to explore how to do new and better ways in business that make business easier and more profit and greater impact. So yeah, exciting.
I love that you're creating that to support the coaches that are trying to do more, right? Because sometimes it's hard to get out and be heard and be seen above all the noise that's out there. But when you collaborate and you find your tribe and everybody's working together, it makes it much, much easier.
That's right. And it's typically, in general, the coaching industry, coaches and healers are not making a lot of money, and we want to change that. So they're fully thriving. They can help more people navigate these crazy times. and have everyone thriving. So it's driven by that, and we have some unique wisdom around supporting them in that. But it's also those that might be not even coaching yet. So say they're in corporate and they've got all this wisdom and experience, and they need support to package their wisdom. That's another opportunity, because everyone has wisdom to share right now, whatever experiences we've been through, not just the recent training we've done. Our whole life has had wisdom, experience, and ways we can contribute to another human. And it's time for everyone to start sharing that.
Absolutely. And I look at it as everything is happening to us for a reason and bringing us to the point in time where we're at. So everything that happened, whether you deemed it as good or bad, is something that adds to your wisdom that you now have to share with others.
Exactly. And that's what you said, whether if you deem it good or bad, we label things good, bad,
Yes.
right, wrong. We're the ones creating the judgment, and it's just time to drop judgments and transcend it. Judgment is the thing that's in the way of so much goodness, really. It's so incredible. I love it. And actually, you said a critical moment. One of them was my very first life coaching course, which I actually heard the story of the Chinese farmer about judgment. Have you heard of it? So
Please share.
I will share my version of it. So essentially, there's this Chinese farmer, and he had his son living with him and a horse, and the horse ran away. All the neighbors came around and go, "Oh, isn't that terrible? Your horse has run away." And the Chinese farmer said, "Maybe." The next day, the horse actually came back with 7 wild horses. And so now they have 8 horses, and the neighbors come around and say, "Isn't that amazing? You've got all these horses." And the farmer's like, "Maybe." The next day, the son is breaking in one of the horses and falls off and breaks his leg. And all the neighbors come around and say, "Oh, isn't that terrible? Your son's broken his leg." And the farmer's like, "Maybe." The next day, the military come along trying to get everyone, all the abled men, to join the military, and they couldn't take the son. And all the neighbors come around and say, "Isn't that great? Your son can't go off to the military." The farmer says maybe. So that story has I just love, because I was very judgmental. I was a very judgmental person. And if I don't check myself, I can still be judging. However, it's so peaceful when I don't judge, and it's so powerful, and it's something that I feel is a pathway to an amazing life when we can transcend judgment. And so, and it is definite, helps being more playful when we don't judge ourselves and we just go for it.
And it's funny because I have heard that story, and I've heard it very recently. And it wasn't a Chinese farmer. I heard it as an Albertan farmer, but the same story.
Well, then clearly it was told by a Canadian.
Yes, it was. But the same messaging, right? Which, is so important. It's maybe. Let's see what happens, especially when we take it as everything's happening for us. Why is this happening? What can I learn from this? You're not going to know it in the moment, but as in the case of the story, they've realized the next day, right? And it might not be the next day for you. It might be a week down the road. It might be a year down the road. When you look back, there's so many moments in your life that you look back with that 2020 hindsight, and you're actually grateful for them.
Exactly.
And in the moment, you're like, "Oh my God, this is awful. This is the worst thing ever." So how much time was wasted and emotional turmoil did you go through thinking, "Oh my God, this is the worst thing ever," as opposed to, like you said, getting into that place of non-judgment and finding peace and acceptance instead?
Yeah, I have found when I remember everything is happening for me, even when it's really shitty, it's so helpful to get through those times. And when we do look closely, there is always gifts, blessings, positives that come from everything. And I notice it as well working with Gabby in the Wisdom Playground. Every time we come up with what we would see as a block, it hasn't gone the way we wanted. It's always an upgrade.
Yes.
It's incredible. It is so incredible. It's not exactly what our mind thought we wanted,
Right.
but when you see the bigger picture, it's actually better, and
Right.
it leads to better in the future. So it's a gorgeous, gorgeous way to look at things.
Exactly. So every time we think it's a block or something holding us back, it's actually just getting us to take the leap forward.
Yeah, and especially for I see coaches, healers, new era wisdom teachers that are wanting to support people in their area of wisdom. When they come up with a challenge, it is often something to learn so they can help their clients. They don't have to
Mhm.
make themselves wrong or bad or like it's so interesting how that happens all the time as well. So it's really cool when we're aware of that because it does make the journey of the challenging bits a bit easier.
Exactly. Exactly. So talk to me about how you bring play into the wisdom playground, but into your daily life.
Cool. Yeah. So I feel that, as I mentioned before, that heart breathing and really noticing what is going on for us and our body and our what feels the yes, what feels the no, and to be guided as much as possible, as often as possible throughout the day. I mean, we can be guided every step if we choose to, which is so cool. So that is playing with the universe from my perspective, playing with it because it's just so fun when we do it that way.
Yeah.
Actually, but it's also doing the things that light us up. That is, and so the more tuned in we are, the more we know what does and what doesn't. And there's so many common things to look at. Like for me, dancing. I love to dance, love to laugh, I love nature, getting in nature, exercising, moving the body. All those things are beautiful ways to play and allow more possibility into our world as well. Some people like to do creative projects. I think that's something that I have been quite focused on working, and I have some creative projects that are now it's like okay, it's time to actually carve out some time and prioritize some of that because we're actually always creating. That's as humans, we're always creating. So why not consciously create and be in the playfulness of creating, and it comes back to not judging it because I remember one time the first time I went to life drawing where there's a nude model and you bring your whatever you want to draw with, like the paper and whatever you're using, pencils or
Pencil
charcoal,
charcoal. Yeah.
yeah, crayons, whatever. And I just loved it. It was just so fun to be doing that. And I was looking at my thing going, oh, I'm not bad at this. And then when I walked around and saw some people who are like proper artists, like, and how good theirs was, like, oh, okay, I'm not great at it. But however, art, it's in the eye of the viewer, right? What's some good to someone, not to others. So, and it's like, well, that's the same with life as well, right? And so just to have fun with it means it's a great use of time, and other insights can come to us when we're not trying to focus and push and struggle and really work hard. I feel even this month that I've had, just the month that's gone, I had more time off and actually have done better financially, and I've had more fun, and it's like, oh, it's so good to have this reminder. Working harder is not always better. And so, yes, that's sort of lifestyle wise, it's good to have our own practice of making sure we're doing some stuff that we love, that makes us feel good, that lights us up. In the wisdom playground, we like to bring that vibe to all things that we do, in our communications and in our events, which we call parties. We like to bring that energy, and it's something that we can always add more ideas to in how to do it. One of the things that we like to do now and then is it's an improv game, with the
Mm-hmm.
where we yes and.
Ah, yep.
So it's like a topic, and then I say something, and then you would say yes and you'd add to it, and then I say yes and add to it, and then you kind of, it's a brainstorming thing that allows really crazy answers, but those crazy answers can actually be really brilliant. You know, some of them comes up with a
Exactly.
whole new thing. So
Or
yes,
spark the next idea, right?
yeah,
And
exactly.
it's actually comes back to what you were saying earlier for people that, they know what they don't want, but they don't know what they do want. And you're saying, sit with that and think about it and spend some time with yourself on that. And what's really important there is to treat that like you would any other brainstorming session. So allow any idea to flow. If it sounds too outlandish to you, don't shut it down and push it away. Let it
Mm.
flow. And then you can even build on that. You can do the yes and with yourself, with the thoughts that are coming, and yes and then what's next, right?
And another one is what if. So what
Mm-hmm.
if everything, because what if it could just magically become better than you even imagined? And what if it was blah, blah, blah? And so that's a similar kind of concept, but
Mm-hmm.
some people might resonate even more.
Right.
Mm.
And it just allows the mind to keep opening and opening and opening and opening
Mm.
and get into that expansive place.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of empowering questions, the what, who, where, how, when, that
Mm-hmm.
open into possibility. Those empowering questions are really cool to expand our mindset, so that we can tap into far greater than what's happened before. And that's the opportunity. We have so much more, as I said before, so much potential. Every single human has access to far more potential than we're tapping into. So that means you, me, everyone. Like, we
Mm-hmm.
all can expand beyond where we have before. It can keep getting better. It can keep getting more magical. It's so exciting. We are living at a very, very exciting time on the planet.
We are. And I agree that there's so much more realization to this right now. And more people are opening to the expansiveness of it, to the fact that there is abundance on this earth. And we can just, get into that place of ease and flow to build that abundance. And as we do it in collaboration, we're helping other people get there too. And we all rise up together.
Mm, absolutely. And actually, saying that, I'm a big fan of the open questions. I'm also a fan of the empowering affirmations, because this
Mm-hmm.
month, as I said, it's been a great month. Um, I've been saying to myself, my life is fun, and
Mm-hmm.
repeating that, and it has been super fun. It's like really work getting that one stuck in your head.
I love that. And how
Happening.
simple is that? How simple is that, right? And, what if you stop and think about the thoughts that you're typically saying to yourself? How much more fun is it to say that thought to yourself instead of what you're typically saying to yourself?
And it's extra fun when you've said it for a little while, and then you start noticing, oh, this is fun. Like, more fun than what was having before. Like, it's actually amazing. Yeah.
So, do you have any suggestions for people, whether they're, coaches or solopreneurs or even still in the corporate world, that besides the mantra, anything else that they can take and easily implement in order to bring fun into their work environment? Is it like maybe it's breaking up their day in some way? What do you suggest?
Yeah. So we talked about judgment. So it's one of the things that's time to let go of. So notice when we're judging, and instead of judging, get curious. So, and get curious with those questions of, like what you said, what can I learn from this? Or how is this serving me? Or I don't know, any open question, or the what ifing, or the yes anding, or it's like, move out of judgment into curiosity as often as possible. Really notice, because also notice when we're doubting ourselves. too many of us are actually really, like, we're all capable of incredible things. We're so amazing, yet we get in our own way by doubting ourselves.
Mhm.
And so if you notice doubting yourself, just laugh. Every time you doubt yourself, laugh at it, because then you'll be. When the first time I had that strategy, I was laughing a lot that day, so it was good.
And we know how healthy laughter is for us. And I've said this many times before, so regular listeners will have heard me say it before, but it's worthy of repeating that just
Yeah.
1 minute of laughter boosts your immune system for 24 hours. And 1 minute of fear or stress or anger will weaken it for 4 hours. And in that fear, stress, and anger, I would even put doubting ourselves, because when we're doubting ourselves, we're probably drumming up a little bit of fear and a little bit of stress, right? Or that's there, and that's why we're doubting ourselves. And that's weakening our immune system for 4 hours. So yes, erase it with laughter. That's brilliant.
Yeah. And so also know about doubt. If you're doubting, that potentially means you're actually trusting in the belief you don't prefer. So perhaps there's no doubt. Perhaps it's just trust in something, and you might as well trust in what you want rather than that belief that you don't prefer, the doubt, because that does not feel good. Doubting ourselves does not feel good. So stop it. Let it go back to BC, and from now on, no more doubt, and just go for it and play, because it's like when we can let go of judgment of the result, it means if it goes bad or wrong, bad, wrong, which we're labeling it, it doesn't matter. So there's a beautiful movie on Disney called Soul. Have you seen that one, Melissa?
I haven't.
Okay, so
Let's check it
gorgeous.
out.
What I love about it, it's such a reminder that our souls come here to experience life, to experience the senses, to taste the pizza, to smell the roses, to do all the things, and they fall over and hurt themselves. But it doesn't matter. It's like we're just here to live and experience and create and enjoy, and that comes back to, if we can just not make a big deal about everything and not make it like that, let go of the making the meaning and the judgments about everything, it just becomes so much easier. And so I would say practice that, really noticing, are you judging or are you in curiosity? And just really start to tap more into curiosity with asking better questions, playing with possibilities, using your breath, choosing what feels good to you, what lights you up, giving yourself permission to do that, celebrating and appreciating every step you take in that direction. And let me know how you go.
I love that. I love that. So many gems in that last 5 minutes right there that are brilliant. Thank you. And I just want to come back to somewhere in there you were talking about, the judgment, and I was hearing like the not doing thing, the doubt is because we're fearing something, right? And the feeling is coming up because it's not the right path for us potentially. And so we need to stop and figure out what the right path is, but also to know that we don't need to fear what might happen. And so often that's fear of failure or not achieving the goal or whatever it is, because there really is no failure.
Yeah.
It's simply an opportunity for feedback.
That's right.
From which we learn and then keep moving forward. And so that's a huge piece of that, of being able to choose that, recognize that, and step into it anyway.
That's right. So it's like, be present in the moment to feel if it's a yes or no for you to take that action. So you'll know if you feel lighter and more expansive, or if you feel heavier and more contracted. You can start to learn your yes and no. If it's a yes, you just go for it, and it doesn't matter what happens. Like, let go of the outcome, the judgment of whatever happens, all of that, and trust in it's the next step, and it's all good, and take the next step. It doesn't have to be that hard. Our mind can make it really challenging.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah. I love it. Well, I love all of the work that you do and the Wisdom Playground and the support that you're giving to coaches and others that are, in their businesses so that everyone can collaborate and serve more people as a result, right? And so as we start to wrap up here, I love to ask my guests, what does don't wait for your wake-up call mean to you?
For me, that means be proactive in designing the life we want. Actually, our health is so important, and actually we can make positive steps towards that today. And if we don't, as you say, if we keep going down a path that is unhealthy, we will get a wake-up call. And it happens from the universe is taught. Well, I say universe. Some people say God or whoever, whatever they want to call source. All the different names for that. But for me, the universe will do for now. So the universe will give us messages, and it starts with a whisper, and then it gets louder. It can become a pebble, and then it become a brick, and then it become a boulder, and it can become a whole brick house on top of us. And that wake up call is not pleasant. So why wait for that? Like why not listen now?
Which comes back to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Listen now and tap into your body and learn that yes or no. And when we work with our body in this way, that's when we do get to be in that flow state. And it's when we get to have optimal energy and optimal health because we're in alignment.
That's right.
We're not fighting ourselves. Love that.
That's everything. The energy alignment is so powerful and such a fun way to live life. And we all have that ability to choose that. It's available to every single one of us. And that's what's so great, the work you're doing, Melissa, because for those who haven't listened can get on track now with you. But those listening to the podcast, well done, because you don't have to wait till it gets really bad. Like, start doing the fun stuff now.
And I love what you said too, is to choose. You get to choose, right? Everything is a choice. And that comes back to when we believe that things happen for us, not to us. We're not blaming, right? And we can see the choices.
That's right.
And there are always choices, even when we think it's the worst day ever. There's still choices, right? Choices in how you respond to that, and choices to how you move forward. So that's a really important point as well, that it's all a choice. So I love it. Love what you're doing. So thank you so much for being on the show. But before I let you go, please tell the audience how they can get hold of you. And I believe you have a free gift for the audience as well.
Yes, we do. So our website is The Wisdom Playground. So THE wisdomplayground.com. And I'd be delighted to connect with anyone on social media and all those types of things. I'm Deb King. We have a freebie. If you're a coach or healer of some description, we have an amazing guide for you that shows you what the greatest coaches on the planet do differently to everyone else. The ones that are super successful, what they do to everyone else. And that's a free guide. It's 19 pages where you get to see those things and rate yourself on those things. So that would be the first freebie. For everyone else, we have a little play cheat sheet for you with some reflection questions just to kind of actually play with in terms of your inquiry around playing more. So that's available as well, and very excited to connect with anyone who wants to discuss this topic or share. Actually, please definitely, if you apply anything we've talked about, I'd love to hear how you go. So yeah, very excited to always meet like-hearted humans that want to thrive.
I love that. Thank you so much. And I'll make sure the links to both are in the show notes. And yes, please, to the audience, if you are implementing any of this from our discussion today, please share it on social, tag Deb, tag myself, because we'd love to celebrate that with you. It's definitely something to celebrate. And Deb, what last tip would you like to leave the audience with to have them step into this and get started today?
I would love to say is you are here. There is no mistake that you are here right now. You have so much love in your heart and wisdom to share, more than you even realize. And to actually just give yourself permission to now live your best life ever moving forward.
I love that. Beautiful way to end the show. So inspirational. Thank you so much for joining us here today, Deb. And thank you to the audience for joining us here and tuning in and week out to the Don't Wait for Your Wake Up Call podcast. I appreciate every one of you too. Thank you. If you're enjoying my content and someone that wants to step into being proactive in your health and learning more, I would love to invite you to join my membership community. There's a link in the show notes. For only $19.99 a month, you get access to all of my content, and there's a lot, as well as weekly calls that you can come and get your health questions answered. It's truly priceless. I'd love to see you join the community. Check out the link in the show notes.